This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Friday, November 1st of 2024, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, Andy Peterson brings us a conversation with Brandon Hulme at Champion Seeds Agronomist as they talk largely on the fertilizer supply situation heading into 2025. But before we get into any of that, let's hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, you can apply fertilizer in the fall, as some farmers have been already even, or you can apply in the spring. But no matter what, you need to know what that fertilizer situation is going to look like. Andy Peterson visits with Champion Seeds agronomist Brandon Hulme to talk about that situation moving forward.
Brandon, how are you approaching some of these conversations here as far as identifying what the plan should be for next year?
Yeah, I think a lot of our discussions with farmers this fall have been making sure we're using all the resources we have at our disposal, making sure we're taking soil samples, looking at our soil tests, and making informed decisions based on what the data is telling us, instead of maybe kind of the emotional or the knee-jerk reaction based on fertilizer prices or commodity prices. Another big talking point that I've had with guys is, for a lot of areas, we're taking off a pretty strong yielding crop here in 2024, and that removes a lot of fertilizer as well. So just maintaining the fertility level in the soil and the yield levels going into 2025 means we do have to apply some fertilizer. So, for instance, if you raised a 250 bushel crop in 2024, 88 pounds of phosphate and 63 pounds of potassium left your field in the semi just in the form of grain. So that's kind of the bare minimum replacement just to keep your soil kind of even in where it was. Same thing on soybeans, a lot more potassium leaves the field in soybeans. A 70 bushel soybean yield is taking 84 pounds of potassium, 52 pounds of phosphate. So kind of, putting some of those pieces of information in front of guys, so as they are going into decision-making time, they can do what's going to give them the biggest bang for their buck. And I understand the need to maybe cut some costs, but let's cut them strategically and not just emotionally.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that fertilizer consumption there, Brandon, because obviously we're talking about some pretty significant yields, but as the corn yield goes up 10 bushel, does the food usage or fertilizer usage go up like exponentially, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah. So there is kind of a base level just to get your 120, 150 bushel crop, but then every 10 bushels is going to take significantly more food to fuel those yield gains. And so not only in the grain, but then also in the stover too. So having some discussions with guys that maybe have baled stocks in the past, let's look at how much nutrients was in there, and is selling the stocks or using the stocks even coming close to replacing the value of nutrients that's left in that stover. So obviously, as we do have a bigger crop, more bushels are leaving the field, so more nutrients are leaving the field. But there's still going to be a lot of nutrients in that stover that can be recycled and mineralized through the microbial processes and made available for next year's crop as well. And so it probably isn't an exponential use of fertilizer, but definitely every 10 bushel stair step of yield is going to be using kind of that same amount of increased fertility.
That again was Champion Seeds agronomist Brandon Hulme. Thanks again to Andy Peterson for bringing us that conversation. Let's go ahead and move on to the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. First off, Curt, what do we see going on in the grains?
Well, we had some giddy up earlier this morning. Corn, soybeans, and soybean oil saw some decent sales. We sold 132,000 tons of beans to China, 198,000 tons of beans to unknown destination. Mexico, our best customer, came in. They bought 781,000 tons of corn. Most of that was this crop year. There's 65,000 tons into next year. Then we saw India pick up 30,000 tons of bean oil. They actually pick up anywhere from 50 to 100 about every year. But on the day, corn hung in there and finished 3 3/4 cents higher, but down 3/4 cents on the week. Soybeans closed kind of mixed, and they were down about 3 cents on the week. When they were higher, we were in a position to have a weekly reversal up, but that didn't happen. Same thing in the wheat. Wheat futures closed down about 2-3 cents. They ended up 1 cent lower on the chart there. So consolidation, kind of look at the technical indicators here. Got a little bit of a base build here. We'll see if we can't get some fundamental help here next week to see some higher prices.
And then, Curt, looking at the other side of the marketplace with the livestock complex, how did cattle and hogs end off the week?
They came in, and hogs has been on a tear in through here. That lean index was up over $2 for the week. Good technical action, products real strong. On the day, the December hogs were up about 27 cents. On the weekly chart, they're up over 440 on the weekly chart there. The exports were huge yesterday. We exported 44.8. Mexico picked up 17, China 10, Japan 4.4. October, pork month. They waited till the end, but it came through for us. On the fats, though, we kind of gave up the momentum here. We had some reversals down. December cattle closed down 37 cents here on Friday. On the weekly chart, they were down 322. So they finished lower on the week. The big news is, of course, going to be next Tuesday, the election. And the market's kind of eager to kind of watch to see what type of fallout we have from the results. Also, too, on the big picture on grains and livestock, we had a strong dollar here during the month of October. The dollar index was down $1 even, ended up around 104. So it gained quite a bit of ground here. So next week, we'll watch the political winds and see which way they're blowing.
And then with that election news, we know obviously it'll take a few days for that to be totaled anyways. Will the markets have maybe a bit of a delayed reaction to what they're seeing there as well? Or will they kind of potentially react as that news comes out little bits by bit?
I think we'll see a little zigging and zagging in the overnight activity. But you're correct. It's going to take a while before the new leadership gets in place till after the first year. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a longer term effect. The bottom line, which either party gets in, we've got to have some leadership, develop some good relationship with all these countries. That's the key to the whole thing there.
All right, Curt, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and viewers who'd like to get in touch with agmarket.net, how can we do that?
1-800-779-1515, or you can go to agmarket.net and click on Intel.
All right, Curt, thanks again for the analysis as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Very good. Take care.
That again was Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers closed through the market window at iowaagnet.com. December corn up 3 3/4 at 414.5. November soybeans ended the day unchanged at 982.5. Soybean meal down 420 at 295.30. Soybean oil up $1.16 at 46.30. Chicago wheat down 2.5 at 568 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 2.5 as well at 566 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 5 1/4 at 599 even. December oats up 4 3/4 at 399 1/4. On the Merc, December live cattle down 37 cents at 185.92. November feeders up $1.50 at 246.87. December lean hogs up 27 cents at 84.07. December pork cutout went unchanged at 94.55. And November Class 3 milk up 14 cents at 20.26. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. That also brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. You can find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pods of Potential. You can find those on your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean, and as always, on our website again at iowaagnet.com. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.